So I'm James McCoy, and I am from the south side of Chicago, Illinois. I grew up on the 8300 South block of Elizabeth, and I had one of the, what I like to call or reference, richest childhoods that any young person could have. We were not rich in the monetary or financial sense, but rich in terms of the people. We were all trying to find a way and figure out who we were as young people. So I went to high school at De La Salle Institute of Chicago. That's 3455 South Wabash, I think it is. We were a very diverse high school. We still are. Also had a chance to compete in athletics. I played football there all 4 years. That was quite an adventure. And my junior year, we won the city championship. And then after high school, went on to play football in college at Northeast Missouri State University, which has been renamed to Truman State University. I majored in industrial technology / engineering, although I call myself now more of a technologist than I am an engineer because I did not really come out and practice that very much. So I've got 30 years of aviation experience, 12 years as a Marine aviator. To serve in our nation, number one, is an honor. But for me to serve as a former Marine aviator is just icing on the cake. After 12 years in the Marine Corps, I served another 18 years for DoD as an acquisition professional for an organization called Naval Air Systems Command. And the whole purpose of that non-combatant DoD service is to procure aircraft and weapon systems for both the United States Navy and the United States Marine Corps. I was married for 25 years. I'm now divorced by 4 years, 4.5. But we had 3 wonderful children. My oldest is my only girl. She is a fighting owl of Temple University. We're very proud of her. Art history major. She is telling the truth through the lens of art. She was a part contributor of a major exhibition in the city of Philadelphia recently and contributed to the chronology of the first produced book of, I think the artist's name was Mr. John Roden. And so, again, our family is collectively very proud of her. My second child, he is a Nittany Lion. He's a Penn State graduate, and he is now in his second year of medical school in the state of Tennessee. And so, again, we're very proud of him. And then I have my youngest, who is in high school. We're very excited about what his future looks like. In 2025, the middle of 2025, I started my own firm, Flightline Systems, general aviation consulting firm. And I started canvassing as part of my business development plan, different airports. And in maybe the summer of 2025, I came in contact with Lansing Village and started discussions about if there was an opportunity for me to help. My primary purpose is to figure out and determine ways to better integrate airport operations with community. As I get out and talk to people, it's a fantastic journey thus far. So the outreach is really being pursued, or the strategy, on at least 2 different levels. First level is, as the mayor has definitely insisted that whatever outreach we do, we reach our young people. And so the first level is school-age children. So we have middle schoolers, and then we also have high schoolers that I am learning that are very interested in careers in aviation. And then on the second level, I would say social groups. There are a lot of social groups in the community that are out there doing great things, like the Ladies Auxiliary Group. They're out there volunteering and helping and providing service. And then we have the Copper Muggers, who are out there just as visible, volunteering and doing service to the community at large. We are so blessed to have not just one, but 2 aviation student training businesses that are right there at the airport. One for fixed wing, regional flyers, and then we have another for rotary wing, which is very unheard of, called Summer Skies. Both of those camps do a fantastic job of training pilots or people that want to become pilots. When I first started working with the airport, we started with some minor upgrades in terms of the FBO spaces right there to make people feel comfortable when they come in. And then we started working with the community. We've done some outreach with schools and a little bit with some social groups like the Boy Scouts. To me, aviation industry is one of the greatest industries that we have, not just here in the U.S., but around the world. And when I think about the career of aviation, I have to go back in history to its founding, right? So in 1903, we had two incredible brothers from the state of Ohio, Wilbur and Orville Wright, take their little bicycle shop and all their great inventions out to the East Coast, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, and conduct the first sustained flight for us, 200 feet in their aircraft, the Kitty Hawk Flyer. What an amazing day, not just for the Wilbur and Orville Wright, but for folks that were trying to get aviation literally off the ground. And you'll see in the successive years, we had some pretty fantastic people and inventions come after that. In 1914, Glenn Curtiss develops the very first aircraft to land on water. I have to give credit also to my Marine Corps heritage. Alfred E. Cunningham was the very first Marine Corps aviator that gets credit for taking his first flight just on 2 hours of flight time. In 1917, U.S. Congress appropriated $100,000 to develop and create routes for airmail. So being able to contract with aircraft or airline industries privately to carry mail reduced significantly time from a 28-day evolution in some cases down to a matter of 4 or 5 days. So this year is the 100th year of the Ford hangar being at the airport. Back in 1926, the entrepreneur Henry Ford developed the 1927 tri-motor aircraft, nicknamed Tin Goose, because it was developed, it was all motor aircraft, 3 motors, all metal, and duraluminium, which was equivalent almost in weight to aluminum. It was pretty remarkable because it carried 12 passengers plus 1 person as an airline stewardess or nurse at the time. Henry Ford had this brilliant design. He had a contract to deliver mail from Chicago to Detroit and Cleveland, and he developed the tri-motor, and he built about 8 or 9 of these hangars around the country. We, right here in Lansing, have the remaining surviving Henry Ford hangar that we're celebrating its 100th year. We have a great venue team there with Ken Reynolds and Michelle Henderson, and they're leading the way in making some renovations from a historical perspective. But we're having a celebration of that in September of this calendar year. I think a gala that is planned for that Friday night, September 18th, and we'll call it a mini air show on Saturday, the 19th of September. So I was giving a short aviation presentation to the School of Revis about 2 or 3 months ago, and I was in front of their 5th grade class. And I was wearing uniform, however antiquated it was, along with my flight publications that I would have to carry out to the aircraft. And they weighed about 30 or 40 pounds. And I said to the students, this is what we used to fly with in the past. I said, right now, pilots are flying out primarily with tablets. I said, but you guys are the future of aviation. Come up with some ideas that are innovative in terms of how you would do business in the future. And without skipping a beat, there was a young lady in the first row. After about 10 seconds of thought, she said, I know. We'll take all of the information that was stored in your bag on those publications that you carried, and that's stored in those tablets that the pilots are now carrying out, and we'll put it on your visor, and we'll make it accessible that way. And I said to myself, what a thought. And it only took a few seconds to think about it. So now the process begins. How do you get a child who has a very sophisticated thought like that to think about the steps to develop it? And that's what we should be in the business of, because the world has gotten much smaller, and we owe it to our young people and to ourselves to make sure that they're very well prepared.